My name is Alex. I want to start by saying I did not believe in any of this. I was not the kind of person who believed in haunted places or cursed ground or whatever you want to call it. I was the kind of person who laughed at those stories at parties and called them exactly what I thought they were, something people tell to feel interesting. I am telling you this because I want you to understand that what I am about to describe is not something I went looking for. I did not want this story. I did not go to that place because I thought something would happen. I went for $10,000 and I came back. The others came back too. I just do not know anymore if what came back with them was still them. It started at a party about 3 weeks before any of it happened. I was not even supposed to be at that party. A friend of a friend. One of those nights where you end up somewhere you did not plan to be and you think nothing of it until much later when you are trying to trace back exactly how a chain of events began. The party was at Tony's place. Tony was the kind of person who existed in a different financial universe from everyone else at that school. The kind of guy who threw parties in a house that was too big for one person and acted like money was just something that happened to him rather than something he had pursued. I did not know him well. I knew his name and his face, and that was enough to get me through the door. I was standing near the kitchen talking to nobody in particular when I heard him start in on this story. He was talking about a place, somewhere east, near a town called Grayford. He said there was a rumor about it online, campers and visitors who went there and came back different, not hurt, not missing, just different. He said people had been posting about it for months, videos, photos, accounts of things they could not explain after visiting. I said it out loud before I could stop myself. That is just a bunch of crap, people say. He looked at me, smiled, said, maybe, maybe not. Then he said he had a proposition. He wanted to send people there. 5 people willing to make the trip, find the altar at the center of the forest, take a selfie as proof they made it, and come back. Anyone who completed the challenge and came back the same as they left, $10,000 each. The room got quiet. Most people laughed it off. Most people said no. But Tony moved through the small group with that particular energy of someone who knows that money changes the calculation for enough people to make an offer worth making. By the end of the night, there were 4 others who had said yes. Jeremy, Austin, Mallory, Emily. I hesitated longer than any of them. I genuinely almost said no. I told myself it was going to be a wasted weekend in a forest and nothing else. I told myself the story about people coming back different was exactly the kind of thing that gets passed around online because it sounds good and means nothing. But $10,000. I said yes. On my way out of that room, I walked straight into a girl I had been working up the nerve to talk to all semester. She was standing just outside the door, and I nearly knocked her drink out of her hand. Her name was Anna. I apologized. She laughed. We talked for maybe 5 minutes before her friends pulled her away. I thought about her the whole drive home. I think about that 5 minutes a lot now. How different the night felt in that moment. How completely ordinary everything was. How I had no idea what I had just agreed to. We met up a few weeks later at the trailhead. 5 of us. Me, Jeremy, Austin, Mallory, Emily. We had been in a group chat, but this was the first time we were all in the same place. Strangers brought together by money and a dare. The drive out had taken most of the morning. The town near Grayford was small enough that I almost missed the turn. The forest started where the road ended. Just a dirt path leading into trees that felt older than they should have. The kind of trees that had been there long enough to forget what the world looked like before them. I checked my phone immediately. No signal. I asked the others. Same. All 5 of us standing at the edge of a forest with no signal and a trail leading somewhere none of us had been. Austin made a joke about Bigfoot. I laughed because you do. Because laughing is what you do when something makes you slightly uncomfortable and you do not want to admit it yet. We went in. The trail was marked. That was the first thing that struck me as strange. Not the forest, not the trees, not the way the light filtered differently there than it did outside. The trail was marked. Someone had been maintaining it. Someone had cleared the path and left signs at intervals, small wooden signs driven into the ground at the side of the trail. They all said the same thing: "Beware, not beware, beware." I stopped at the first one and looked at it for a long time. Austin said maybe it was a typo. Mallory said maybe it was a different language. Jeremy said maybe whoever made them just could not spell. I said, "What does it want us to be aware of?" Nobody answered that one. We kept walking. About an hour in, we found the cabin. It sat just off the trail in a small clearing, old but not abandoned. There was smoke from the chimney and a light in one of the windows. We knocked. The door opened. 3 women, middle-aged. They looked at us the way people look at strangers in remote places, not unfriendly exactly, just measuring. I asked them if they knew the way to the altar. One of them, I caught the name Cassie from the others calling her, gave us general directions, said they were just starting out themselves, heading the same direction. I noticed something about the way they stood while they talked to us, not anything specific, just something about the stillness of them, the way they held themselves, like they were waiting for something rather than having a conversation. We thanked them and moved on. I looked back once. They were still standing in the doorway of the cabin watching us go, not waving, not turning back inside, just watching. I told myself people in remote places were like that. We reached the altar as it was getting dark. I do not know what I expected. Something dramatic maybe, something that looked the way ritual sites look in movies. Deliberate, constructed, clearly meaningful. This was not that. It was a clearing. Maybe 20 meters across. The ground in the center was completely clean. Not just cleared clean, the kind of clean that does not happen naturally, like nothing had ever grown there and never would. Around the edges, the trees curved inward, bending toward the center the way trees do not bend, like they were leaning in to look at something. What remained of the altar was in the center, cut in half. The stone was wrong, not in the way I could describe exactly, just a quality to it that made me not want to touch it. The rocks around it made sounds when the wind moved, not the sounds rocks make, something else. I felt cold the moment we stepped into the clearing. Not weather cold, the other kind. The others did not seem to notice, or if they did not say anything. They were already taking photos. Jeremy recording himself, talking to the camera with that particular energy of someone performing for an audience. Austin with his phone out, making faces, treating it like a tourist stop. Mallory and Emily taking photos separately, walking around the perimeter of the clean ground, not stepping onto it. I reached into my pocket for my phone. It was not there. I checked every pocket, my bag, my jacket, nothing. Somewhere between the trailhead and the altar, my phone had disappeared. I said it out loud. My phone is gone. The others looked up. Emily offered me hers. I said no. The rules were the rules. You had to take the photo yourself. That was the challenge. Without my phone, I had nothing to show Tony. I had walked into a forest for a weekend and lost $10,000 somewhere on a trail. I was standing there trying to figure out whether to laugh or be angry when he appeared. I do not know where he came from. One moment the clearing was empty, except for the 5 of us. The next he was there, standing at the tree line on the far side, completely still, watching us. Tall. Impossibly tall for how thin he was. The kind of height that looks wrong on a body that narrow. His eyes were wrong, too wide, too present, like something behind them was paying attention in a way that normal eyes do not. His skin was the color of something that had not been outside in a long time. He said, "You're not supposed to be here." His voice was flat, not angry, not threatening, just stating a fact the way you state something that has always been true. Jeremy said we were sorry, we were just leaving. The man tilted his head, slowly, too far to the right. The kind of tilt that a neck should not be able to do that comfortably. And then he said it again. "You're not supposed to be here." But the second time, the voice was different, deeper, wrong in a way the first time was not, like something adjusting itself inside him, like whoever was speaking the first time had been replaced by something that would still learn how to use the same mouth. Emily stepped forward. She said we were lost. She asked if he could help us find the way out. He reached behind himself. His arm moved in a way arms do not move, the angle wrong. the motion too fluid, like a joint bending in a direction joints do not bend. He grabbed at something on his back that was not there. Then he stopped, completely stopped, not paused, stopped. Like someone had pressed pause on a video, perfectly still, not breathing that I could see, not blinking. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3. Then he smiled. The smile arrived the way smiles do not arrive, all at once, too complete, too wide, like it had been waiting behind his face and someone had finally let it out. He said, "This is the way out. Follow me." I looked at the others. They looked at me. Nobody moved for a moment. Then we followed him. He walked fast, faster than made sense for someone that tall, moving through dense forest. We had to almost jog to keep up. He did not speak again, did not look back, did not acknowledge that we were behind him. The trail back was different than I remembered. The Beware signs were still there, but they seemed closer together than before, like the forest had compressed while we were inside it. We came out at the road in maybe 20 minutes. What had taken us most of an afternoon to walk in took 20 minutes to walk out. I turned to thank him. He was not there. I looked back at the tree line, both directions down the road. The clearing where the path entered the forest, gone, like he had stepped back into the trees between 1 second and the next. We were almost at the cars when I saw the women. They were standing around Austin's car. The three of them, Cassie, the one I thought was called Julian, and the third one I had never caught the name of, standing still around the car the same way they had been standing still in the doorway of the cabin, not moving, not talking to each other, just standing around the car with their hands at their sides. I touched Austin's arm. He looked over. I said, "What is that?" He said, "Let's just go. Let's just get out of here." We got in the other cars. We drove past them. I looked in the rearview mirror as we pulled away. They were all three facing the road watching us leave. Their heads turned to follow the car as we passed, all three at exactly the same speed. We got back. Tony paid the four of them. He asked why I had no photo, and I told him my phone went missing, and he shrugged and said those were the rules. I was the only one who did not get paid. I was also the only one who did not take a photo in that clearing. I thought nothing of those two facts at the time. I went back to campus. I went back to class. Life resumed the way life resumes after something you have not fully processed yet. On the surface, carrying something underneath. I saw Anna in the hallway a week later. She smiled and waved, and I thought about asking her to coffee. And then I got distracted and the moment passed the way moments do. A week after that, I heard something strange had happened with Jeremy. A week after that, Austin stopped being reachable. Then Mallory left school. Then Emily. I kept going back to that clearing in my head, kept thinking about the photo, the phone going missing, the tall man appearing, the way he stopped moving and then smiled and then offered to help. "You're not supposed to be here." I used to think he was warning us away from the place. Now I think he was warning the place away from us. And then he changed his mind. Except about me. I was not supposed to be there, and I left no proof that I was. Whatever was in those photos, whatever traveled back with them in their cameras and their memory cards and their cloud backups, it needed a record. It needed evidence. It needed a document of someone standing in that clean circle of ground in the center of that altar. I had nothing. I was invisible to it. I thought that was luck. Now I am not sure what it was. Because 3 weeks after we got back, I found my phone. It was in my jacket pocket, the inside pocket. The pocket I checked 100 times at that altar. And on it were photos I did not take. 47 photos. All of them from the clearing. All of them taken while we were there. All of them showing the 5 of us in that clean circle of ground. And in every single one, standing at the tree line at the edge of the frame, barely visible in the darkness between the trees. Something watching. Not the tall man. Something else. Something that was there the entire time we were. Something that documented us the way we were supposed to document ourselves. I have not opened those photos since the first time, but sometimes at night, my phone lights up on its own, and the screen shows the camera roll, and the number of photos is no longer 47. It keeps going up, one more each night. I do not know what it is taking photos of. I do not know who is in them. I have not looked. But I think whatever is in that place near Grayford is still adding to its collection. And I think at some point, it is going to show me what it's been photographing. I am not ready for that. I do not think I ever will be.